Just before heading for Japan, Prime Minister Narendra Modi releasing a statement and saying he's looking forward to meeting the G7 leaders. This is a big meeting, remember. This is about the three-nation tour that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to be a part of, attending in a very historic city of Hiroshima, which is famous for having faced and braved the atomic bombing by United States of America. Prime Minister Modi has said, I quote him here, "We will be holding bilaterals with other leaders, and we are looking forward to talks with the G7 countries and its leaders." Let's now bring in India Today's Managing Editor Gaurav Sawant for the latest. Gaurav, good morning. This is going to be historic in so many ways, not just the visit to Hiroshima. How are we looking at the ties between India and Japan and G7 countries in India?
So this is truly historic and hectic. As the government has put it, there are over 40 engagements. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is scheduled to meet about 24 world leaders on his three-nation tour over 6 days. So on the 6-day visit, the Prime Minister first is in Japan, then he's in Papua New Guinea, then he's in Australia. He's attending the G Summit. There's also the Quad, which may now take place in Japan and not in Australia, it's being said. So very, very important meeting. What we are told now is there are several major deliverables that will come out of the Quad. If we were to talk about the Japan leg of the visit in Hiroshima, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, US President Joe Biden, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida will be there, as will Prime Minister Albanese from Australia. Then the Prime Minister then goes to Papua New Guinea, then he goes to Australia. Major multilateral summits that will take place in these countries. What we are now being told is Hiroshima becomes extremely critical, 19th to 21st. G7, the world's most advanced economies meet here. How are you to tide over one post-COVID, and how do you spur economies in these countries? Then the Prime Minister will also be a part of the third summit that takes place of the Pacific Island Cooperation countries. This would be on the 22nd of May. The third and the final leg, of course, is in Australia, where the Prime Minister on the 23rd of May will also address the Indian diaspora, and that is also likely to be huge. As you know, the Prime Minister's outreach to the diaspora, talking about the India story and seeking investment in India, has been huge from the time he took over in 2014. Pooja.
Gaurav, let's now specifically talk about India and Japan. When you have a neighbor like China, which is as aggressive against India, we've been building our friendship and ties with Japan. That's also been progressing widely. How do we look at the ties and the relationship that will build further with this visit between India and Japan, Gaurav?
So India and Japan, historically, traditionally, they've been close allies, and that relationship got a new lease of life post 2014. You know, when Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was late Shinzo Abe was the Prime Minister of Japan, and before that, when Narendra Modi was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. This is a relationship that goes back to those times. Japan's massive investment in infrastructure projects in India, Japan's effort to bring the bullet train to India, also investing in India's infrastructure story. So that has been massive. That's one part. That's the infrastructure or economy part of the relationship. You've specifically mentioned, one, Quad, two, keeping China in mind. So democracies coming together to checkmate China, an expansionist force, Pooja, as you very rightly pointed out, that is huge, and that is where powerful democracies of the region are coming together, whether it's Australia, India, Japan, or even the United States of America. Countries like England and France also want to play a bigger role in keeping the Indo-Pacific sea lanes of communication free and open navigation for all. So this is where this relationship becomes extremely critical, not just in carrying out joint exercises together, but also intelligence sharing, because knowing what the adversary is doing becomes extremely critical in forming counter strategies and winning the war. And Japan and India there, bilaterally and multilaterally, play a very critical role, Pooja.
Very interesting. Thank you so much, Gaurav Sawant, giving us the details about how historic and hectic, as he's also called it, will this meeting be. But remember, when you have G7 nations, and these are top of the top nations right now, when they arrive together, India is a part of it. This really puts not only India on a benchmark, but it also shows the kind of relationships that we are building with other countries as well.